Quincy, when people talk about this dude, they talk about him like he should be in the conversation for the Heisman Trophy, like he should be one of the first quarterbacks off the board. And I'm telling you, dog, I can't get there. I know he plays at Georgia, but that's not the reason why you. Stetson Bennett played at Georgia. I didn't ever think he was the best player, but he seems like a better player than Carson Beck. Is there something I'm missing with this dude?
I don't I don't think you're missing anything. I think that we're probably on the same page. I think he's a good quarterback. He's like a good college quarterback, but good college quarterback to me does not say first pick in the NFL draft. Like I got four examples of four different plays for Carson. We have like really bad, like what are you kind of doing here? We have, hey, you're a first round quarterback, you should make that throw. Then we have a good throw, and then we have an elite throw. So I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly with Carson. Share this. All right, so let's start here. We're going to get 3x1, and we're just going to be running stick with number 3, inside fade, and a hitch here, right? So this defense is a little tricky. I could see how it gives people some problems, but really what they're just going to be doing, is running a variation of Tampa 2. This, just treat him like a middle linebacker who dropped back, but they don't have to worry about here, so they'll just box him over here. Now, Carson Beck, like this is a difficult situation. And there's two options here. I feel like for a quarterback, we could either A, just take the boundary, right? We're getting too high, right? We could just take this dragon, this slant flat situation here, take a completion and move forward. But his eyes are the front side because it is like a unique coverage. He feels like he's in a good situation. But I'll tell you what puts him in a bad spot. His footwork. This is not quick game footwork. If you don't have perfect footwork here and you can't throw the ball right now, this ball has to be out. This extra step, like that should be an interception. That could easily be an interception here, all because he takes bad footwork and he went to the wrong side, one, and then two, he just doesn't have the right footwork that pairs with the concept. Like those situations, like we can't have that. Like you're supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks in college football. We don't need that. All right, now, next play. This is Carson Beck. He's adding a little bit to the game. He's able to escape the pocket. So we're going to get motion. We're going to go play fake. And we're going to get a little short roll right here. Now, what they're trying to do is occupy here. We get this deep over here. This is by high school standards wide open, by college standards wide open, by NFL standards. Like, this is free. You did have to make this guy miss. You made him miss, but that work has been done. He is open. You could punt the ball to this man. You could throw it underhand. You could punt it. You could throw it sidearm. You could do whatever you want. This is the requirement here. Is this has to be a catch. Like there's no other option than this being a catch. And little stuff like this, like as a play caller, you've done everything right. I put you in a premier situation. All I'm asking you to do is give him a football he can catch. Should it be a touchdown? Yes. It's not a touchdown, but it should dang sure should be a 30-yard completion. And we're not able to get that there. So those are two really like, come on, Carson. We need a little bit better. But now I'm going to show you this is better football. Now we're just going to be running four forwards. I'm not going to call this great football because the defense is going to, I shouldn't say this. Right here, what we're going to have is like a version of Haas. Seams on the inside, hitches on the outside, except we're going to run like 9-yard lock hitch, seam. So we got a concept here. Pretty simple. They starting too high. I'm not sure exactly what he sees, but he sees something that gets him to check the play. He must have saw the pressure based on the front. But buddy, like this is hit our head on the goalpost territory, right? We got listen. These plays have to end in touchdowns, and yes, you are getting hit. So that's why I'm like, okay, We'll take whatever we can get. Solid play, right? That's good quarterbacking. I'm not going to call this elite quarterbacking by any standards. I don't know their rules. I would imagine that they got big on big here, and he's supposed to get the blitzer, right? Which the back does. I think the tackle gets confused, but we need these plays to be bigger. So we've had two not great plays. One is a solid play that I think could be better. And then I'm going to show you the highest level quarterbacking. Like this is you playing quarterback at a very high level. This is, for one, we are going to start our eyes to the right side of the field. Like his first intended receiver on this play is going to be the right side of the field. He wants his completion over here, and it's not available, right? They ran another wheel, another post, grab the safety, corner stayed. Like this timing, this anticipation. Let's look at it from this angle so you can really see what Carson Beck is doing. So we know he wants to get to the ball to the right side of the field. That's gone. Like this, the ability, if you see his eyes right here, his eyes are to the right. You will see him snap his eyes over. Not only does he snap his eyes over to the left, but he gets his feet in the perfect position to be able to make this. There's a limited number of guys who can do this. Stroke mechanics really clean, ball placement really clean. Things like that gets you drafted first 15 picks in the NFL. I need more of that, right? I need Carson Beck to be that guy every single time. It's going to be a real battle on Saturday. Like, who is going to be the best versions of themselves? I don't want to see this Carson Beck from Kentucky game. I want to see the Carson Beck that I've heard so much about. That's who I want to see out there on Saturday. And I want to see what happens when Jalen Milroe's challenged, right, to be the best version of himself throughout the game.
I think we're going to see both of those, honestly, because I think Kane Womack's defense is not getting enough credit for really being outstanding, given what we had come to expect from an Alabama defense in the Nick Saban era. And on the other side, I love what you were showing about Carson Beck and the things that, frankly, make it difficult to play quarterback at a high level. And also, we got to see what Kentucky does really well and what we can expect Alabama to try to do. If you know where you think he wants to go and you can take that away and you know you're going to give yourself a chance to make a play, you're going to probably do that more often than not. I'm curious about taking that check down earlier where he had the running back into the flat, but he chose to try to force the ball where it shouldn't go. When we see these sorts of plays, one of the things that quarterbacks would tell me is that's the right read. You do that. And I'm like, but then you get to be known as a check down guy. You get to be known as a person that don't take a deep shot. And he says, well, do I want to be a check down guy or want to be a guy that throws interceptions? Right? Do you want to be a guy that's throwing handoffs? Yes, you always want to be a guy that's throwing handoffs. So I wonder if you could unpack the attitude behind some of these plays, because I'm looking at this and you just told me that's easy money. That's found money. The rest of us that are fans are looking at this going, why didn't he try to force it over the middle there where that window was wide? That's what a 5-star does. That's what a QB1 does. You throw it into that tight window like the last play that we saw.
Yeah, so we just saw. So as a quarterback, your job is to be as aggressive as possible while mitigating the risk, right? We cannot be out there throwing a bunch of interceptions. Like if there's a throw to be made, let's go be aggressive and let's go get it. But at the same time, we got to read things the right way. Now, I don't know what their rules are. If they're going slant flat versus too high, or they're getting to the stick side. I would work the slant flat. I'm going to take the completion over there. He decided to work the stick. Let's have great feet. But think about Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels was 91% on, I think that was Monday night. The large majority of his passes were under 10 yards. He threw 4 passes over 20 yards. The deep ball to McLaren on the left, the deep ball to McLaren on the right, and there was an incomplete ball like a little further down the field, and there was another pass on the right. For the most part, everything else was under 10 yards, right? And people like, oh, we don't want to be checked. Oh, you go find completions. Like you go be addicted to completions. You take all of those you can. When there's a chance for you to be aggressive, throw it in a window, anticipate, do those things. Let's go do it. But we're not gonna put ourselves in unnecessary risk. Coaches, they want when a shot is there and available, you take the shot. Right. When we drew up something for you to go get a chunk of yardage and we feel like we got the coverage that we want, go get the chunk. But other than that, like we're just advancing pawns, like advancing pawns. When we see something we can go attack, like go take out a rook, go take out let's go do it. But other than that, we're just gonna advance, right? And just keep taking profits until the dam breaks. And like that is your job as a quarterback, and it's not just to be wildly aggressive and be a gunslinger.
I love the chess metaphor, not the least of which is because I play a lot of chess. And that's exactly what you're trying to do. Hey, if you're going to give it to me, I'm going to just take it from you. And then all of a sudden, people are panicking and you get to take larger pieces off the board. People tip the king. I understand that intellectually. I think a lot of people understand that intellectually. And I'm thinking about Jaden Daniels and how he and Cliff Kingsbury had Lou and that defense going side to side, back and forth. It wasn't even that they were out of position. It was just when it was open, he hit it. And Jaden Daniels can still pick up first downs with his legs when things didn't seem to be there. And that is, I got to believe, just deflating for a defense because you know that you had him or you know you had this play. You beat this play. You just didn't beat him. That part can't be accounted for on a chessboard. You know, that's what makes that guy that guy. And I really love that you used him as an example because I wasn't always sure about Jaden Daniels. And he is a great example of a guy who benefits from playing in an offense that recognizes his skill set and a guy that's going to play within structure. Because thinking about what they did at Arizona State, and I never saw that guy. The guy we've seen the last 2 years, never saw him. And
You
then
saw
all
a
of a
running
sudden,
back.
yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? And now we get to see this at LSU and we got to see this at Washington. And I'm going, wait, Herm, you had this the whole time? The whole time? Why are we doing what we're doing? And I think some of this comes back to Carson Beck and Georgia and the way they want to play. We want to be a defensive football. We want to play ball control, right? We want to sit on the ball and we want to take the life out of every game we play. We're going to stifle you. We're going to sit on your chest. As you are evaluating quarterbacks and you are trying to help quarterbacks with fundamentals about their mechanics, but also, hey, here's the throws that you're probably going to be asked to make given what kind of an offense you play in. Do you find yourself looking at guys that perhaps don't have the skill set or do have the skill set for what they're doing? And then you're going, I don't think this is helping you. How do we make this help you? How do we find some ways for you to use what gifts you have?
Yeah, that's difficult, and I find myself doing that more when quarterbacks are like in the transfer portal, thinking about going to certain schools rather than other. When a kid is somewhere or a young man is somewhere, I just kind of back off because that's not my job, right? I can only help you be the best version of yourself. I can't try to get a coach to do something different with you. Like I hope they use you to the best of your ability, but coaches are like anybody else. They're going to go back to what's comfortable and what's familiar. Like I know that I know this really well, and that's what they're going to teach, and it's hard to get them to do something different. I've had guys who've transferred to like really big schools, and I told the school before the guy went there, and I told the guy before he went there, probably not a good idea. Like that's not where you should go. They're not going to do things that are going to accentuate your skill set. And it's just a difficult conversation. But like think about Jaden Daniels at LSU. His first year at LSU was not like the second year. Same with Joe Burrow. First year at LSU was not like the second year. Right. And you need time in some of these offenses to grow and develop. And I won't be as hard on Herm because I don't think the Jaden Daniels that Herm had was the same Jaden Daniels that we saw at LSU. He was more mature. He was developed. Like he had an understanding. And he had took those bumps and bruises. And after you take those, I think that it's a little easier to take coaching. Right. After you get scabbed up a little bit, like you're like, all right, well, the way I was doing it didn't work. Let me go find a way that does, and the coach can provide you with that.
I love hearing you talk about quarterbacks, and I love hearing you talk about talent acquisition and giving dudes opportunities to develop. But I come at this first. I became an analyst because I was a fan, and I've always been very loud about that. You don't get to be in this sport and want to cover it because, well, it's a job. No, there's something here. that you're passionate about that you want it to make your business. So your passion becomes your business. And I look at these things and I see myself. I see other conversations that are being had about, hey, that might not be the best place for you because you do this really well and they do this other thing really well. It's just not necessarily a great fit. And now with the money that's being spread around and the value that we're placing on veteran quarterbacks, I'm looking back at who has made really good and smart decisions based on fit and not just money. Because sometimes if they're gonna throw a bag at you, you're gonna have to eat the offense they ask you to play in. But a guy I want to use an example here is Dylan Gabriel, who went to a place in Central Florida where he played for a coach that basically had him in the same offense that he's been playing in since he from Central Florida to Oklahoma. And I don't think that Will Stein's offense is that dissimilar from something like a veer and shoot, something like what Tennessee might run with Josh Heupel. But that dude has been very smart about where he needs to be playing football. Same thing with Will Howard. He's always either been able to be the guy that can be athletic and take over the game like he did at Kansas State, or he goes to Ohio State where it's, I'm going to hand this ball to Quinshawn Judkins. He's going to take it 86 yards. I'm going to throw this bubble screen, and Mega Buka's going to take it 70 yards. You're talking about giving these guys opportunities to, as you said, get scabbed up, take those bumps and bruises, take that coaching. How much of your job when they come back to you is, are you ready to listen now? Are we listening?
I think that I try to do that in a gentle way.
Okay.
Right? Like, hey, you did it your way last time. Like, let's have a bigger discussion and look at like what's really going on, because recruiting's tough. Like, all these guys really, really want to go to the biggest school because that's what they've dreamed about their whole life. So who would I be to put a damper on that? But you have an opportunity, yes, to make some NIL money, but if you do it the right way, you get to make NIL money and you get to make NFL money, right? So like, let's not like become short-sighted about money that's not life-changing. Like, it puts you in a good position, but it's not life-changing. NFL money is life-changing, and let's put ourselves in a position to get that.
That is Quincy Avery of QB Takeover. If you're talking quarterbacks, you are talking Quincy. Quincy, once again, man, thank you for taking some time to talk with us, teach us a little bit more about this position you know so much about.
Appreciate you, bro, and congrats on the plaque behind you.
My man, he noticed. I appreciate it.